Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers, and in this video we've got another set of bone conduction headphones from Shokz rivals Mojawa. These are the run and swim friendly Mojawa Run Plus. They offer Bluetooth and MP3 playback so you can listen to your music phone free on the road and in the swimming pool. They're priced a tenner cheaper than the Shokz OpenSwim Pro, which are closely matched on features. But can they really rival the Shokz? Well, I've hit the road, the pool and the gym to find out, and here is my Mojawa Run Plus review. Let's start with the all-important details then, and on price the Mojawa Run Plus come in at $159.99 in the UK and the US, pounds and dollars. That's £9 cheaper in the UK than the Shokz OpenSwim Pro. Official battery life is listed at 8 hours. That's just short of the OpenSwim Pro 9 hours. You get a rapid charge here on the Run Plus that bags an hour and a half's runtime for 5 minutes on the plug. They feature MP3 and Bluetooth playback with 32 gigs of storage for up to 8,000 songs. That is exactly the same as you'll get on the Shokz OpenSwim Pro. They're also IP68 rated, which is again the same as the Shokz OpenSwim Pro, and they weigh in a couple of grams heavier at 29 grams. When it comes to design, this is pretty standard bone conduction fare. Like the Shokz OpenSwim Pro, the Run Plus follow that familiar bone conduction blueprint with vibrating transducer pads connected by a flexible neckband. The pads hook over your ears and sit on your cheekbones like this, leaving your ears open to the world around you for that full, safer situational awareness. Now, generally speaking, the Run Plus feel pretty well built. The IP68 rating offers full dust and waterproofing, and they'll survive in 2 meters of water for up to 2 hours. So that's a thumbs up for pool swimming on paper at least. The controls are nice and simple. There's one big button on the left pad that allows you to play, pause, skip and go back a track. There's capacitive touchpad further back up where you swipe up and down to change the volume. Now, I'm a big fan of unfussy controls where I don't have to memorise lots of complicated patterns and series of taps and swipes and combinations, and that's what you get here. They're really easy to learn, really easy to use. The big button is nicely responsive. It's easy to use on the move. The touchpad can be a little harder to find if you're moving fast, and to kind of keep your finger on there and move it up and down, but it works pretty well. When it comes to fit and feel, I think they're generally as comfortable as the Shokz. They're generally light and disappearing, though I did find that I wanted the pads to sit a little bit more directly on my cheekbones. And when I got them there and I held them there, that seemed to improve the top volume, but more on that in a mo. Like plenty of other waterproof tech, they come with their own unique magnetic charging cable, which is not uncommon for that, but it does mean that you have to take it with you. Also, the cable for mine stopped working after the initial charge, and I had to use another one that I had from the Mojawa HaptiFit Terra review, so that is not ideal in terms of durability. Another bugbear that was also true of the Shokz OpenSwim Pro is present here. There is no playlisting or track management options in an app or anything like that, so essentially just dumping a whole load of tracks into one big list onto the Run Plus. You can shuffle, but if you've got 8,000 songs, you know, having that in one just big dump long list doesn't really enable you to sort of fine tune that. It's just not as useful as you would like. But that was the same for the Shokz OpenSwim Pro as well. So on sound quality, the most notable thing here is that these are not the loudest. I think they pump out a thinner sound overall than you'll get from the Shokz OpenSwim Pro. Now, obviously, all bone conductors come up short on that full, bassy, rich, loud, you know, good, high-quality volume. But I'd say these fall short of the Shokz. Even up full, quieter songs and intros were hard to hear at times, and they struggled when I hit busy roads. The flip side of that, of course, is obviously that you can hear everything that's going on around you, but you need to sort of strike a happy balance, and these don't quite get there. These are going to be easily overpowered by kind of busier, noisier races in loud gyms and on commuter trains and that kind of thing. That's how I found where they struggled. The sound performance of the MP3 audio in the pool was better than on dry land. It packed more of a punch, it was fuller, it was better overall. A lot of that has to do with the water helping kind of insulate you from the outside world. But for the swims I did, the sound was good enough, like decent enough to provide some welcome distraction for those kind of monotonous ups and downs. If you need that in the pool, then these will do a job for that. There's no doubt about that. Unlike the Shokz OpenSwim Pro, there is no EQ or sound optimization here on these. It's a get what you're given approach, so you're kind of stuck with the sound as it is. Battery life then, and as mentioned on paper, the Run Plus offers 8 hours playback. Mojawa told us that was true for the MP3 and Bluetooth mode. Testing was interesting because the battery percentage indicator was a bit flaky. It sometimes jumped up 10% from the number that it was at when I powered them down the day before. In my tests, a 1 hour run in Bluetooth mode burned 10%, a 1.5 hour run in Bluetooth mode burned between 10 and 15%, a 2 hour run in Bluetooth mode would burn around 30%. For comparison, the OpenSwim Pro burned less than 10% for an hour. In MP3 mode, on the Mojawas, a 1 hour run burned 20%, a 1.5 hour run burned on average about 30%. A 2 hour swim with the OpenSwim Pro in MP3 mode burned 40%. Now, all of the Run Plus tests suggest a lower overall battery life than the listed 8 hours, but that was with volume at full whack, and there's not much to choose between the staying power in like the real life usage of these versus the Shokz OpenSwim Pro. Verdict then, well, this is the second pair of Mojawa bone conductors I've tested in the past 6 weeks, and you can find my review of the pricier HaptiFit Terra on the channel somewhere down there. Go have a look for it. And for my money, the Run Plus are by far the best bang for buck headphones in Mojawa's lineup. They beat the HaptiFit Terra definitely on kind of quality and value. I was really intrigued to see if they could be a genuine rival to the Shokz as well. And I think they get quite close in some respects, but they miss the mark in others. On the general design, they're maybe not quite as finessed as Shokz. And that power cable glitch is a worry about the kind of long-term reliability. On the overall reliability as well, that's a little nagging thing. But generally these felt sort of structurally sound build-wise. They were nicely compact and a match for comfort on the run and in the pool actually. Pretty much equal on battery as well and on usability. Where there is a gap though is sound quality. The Shokz pack notably more oomph, and Shokz has a well-established setup for returns and dealing with issues. So where Mojawa is a bit more of an unknown, Shokz kind of have you covered if things go awry. If the Mojawa Run Plus were £20 or £30 cheaper than the Shokz, I'd say maybe they are worth a punt. But for just under a tenner less, I'd still probably recommend the Shokz OpenSwim Pro over these. And I think they offer pretty much better value. So there you have it. That's been my review of the Mojawa Run Plus MP3 and Bluetooth bone conduction headphones. I hope you found it useful. Hit like if you did. We'd love it if you consider subscribing if you're not already. If you do, make sure you ring the bell because that is how you'll find out when other videos land on the channel. You'll get alerted. If you're after bone conductors, I'm going to pop a video up on the channel now that you want to watch. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by and hopefully we'll see you again soon on the run testers. In the meantime, happy running, people.